Welcome to Work This Way, a labor and employment podcast. I'm Tina Emerson, Chief Marketing Officer at Maynard Nexsen, and I'm joined here today with my co-host, Maynard Nexsen labor and employment lawyer, Keely Fresh. Good to see you, Keely.
Hey, Tina. Good to see you.
Well, we have a great guest today at Greenville's SHRM Conference, where HR leaders are gathered for insightful sessions with expert speakers. One of those speakers today is Chingwei Shieh. He is Executive Leader of Automation and Data Science with GE Power. Chingwei is an experienced technology leader who opened the conference today with his session, Harnessing AI, Opportunities and Challenges. Chingwei, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, sure. Can you tell us about your role at GE and provide an overview of the development of AI and how we got here today?
Sure. Yeah, I'm the Chief Information Officer for Data Science Artificial Intelligence at GE Vernova Gas Power. I lead a group of data scientists that try to shepherd in artificial intelligence in GE Vernova as an enterprise. We have been working in this technology for about 4 years, and our strategic pillar in introducing this technology in the company is really in terms of 5 areas. We talk about strategy, which is like governance, portfolio management. We talk about functional transformation, which is about how do we introduce this capability effectively for our functional teams to use this technology effectively in the workplace. We talk about confidence in AI, which is probably the biggest challenge we are all facing right now. It's very useful, it's very advantageous, but how do we build confidence in using this technology responsibly, ethically, and effectively? We talk about building the right foundation, because at the end of the day, this technology requires IT platform in order to run the algorithm and the software and the tools effectively. And finally, and probably that's the most important part of the pillar, is how do we upscale our workforce in order to accept the coming revolution of introducing AI in the workspace?
I think revolution is a really good word to use here. It is this unknown, and you're right, not a lot of people have confidence in it. In your experience, what's some of the biggest impacts that you've seen AI have in the current workplace?
I think there are 2 ways that we can actually look at the impact, and it's a very good question. On one way, we can think about it more about a personal type of productivity that we are seeing the employees are using, because this type of technology now allows employees to do certain things almost like a assistant. Right, somebody you can brainstorm with, right, on a day-to-day basis. That type of productivity is very beneficial. It's a very grassroots type of approach, right? When employees are starting to look at it, they can sort of effectively change their mindset, take different perspectives, different ideas, and try to do the work more effectively. We definitely are seeing that. We're definitely seeing this, especially in our younger workforce that's just coming out of the college, very receptive. And this is like a stoking the fire for the rest of the workforce to try to learn the technology. A second part of the impact is where we introduce into what we call standard work, standard operation procedure of business processes. Business run with certain standard operating procedure on the process we are running in order to get the outcome we need. And we are seeing that we can augment these processes with artificial intelligence to help doing the work that used to maybe take a lot of time, and now we increase the effectiveness. So we're definitely seeing that part. So that's a 2 aspects of the spectrum we're seeing that in the workforce right now.
And aside from the opportunities that we're already using AI for now, what are the potential applications that you're seeing AI, the possibility that we can use it for in the future? It's obviously a developing technology.
Yeah, I think every industry probably will have different use cases. So I will talk about this from the perspective of my company. I mean, my company is GE Vernova, right? Gas Power, and our company builds electricity generation equipment like gas turbine, wind turbine, steam turbine, nuclear plant, hydro turbine, right? Everything that generate all the electricity is here. So what we are seeing are 3 areas where it has a lot of business impact. One is called new product introduction or product augmentation. right? We introduce AI into our new product, right? And basically offer that as a service. So that's one part of it. The other part is called product design. Our design engineers can explore this AI capability to design things more effectively, which make the existing product better. So that's the second part of it. The third part will basically be on productivity, like we talk about, right? Where everyday work, the employees are using this type of a technology to help on the day-to-day work to make them more effective. So these are the three areas that we can see right now in a industrial company like ours, where we can effectively leverage the AI as a technology.
It's really interesting, especially in the industrial area. I see how that could help with both design and productivity. But as Tina mentioned, I am a labor and employment attorney. This is an HR conference. So there are a lot of rising concerns about how some HR professionals are using AI that could potentially, for example, in job applications, have a discriminatory outcome. What do you personally consider to be a primary risks of using AI, like some of these HR professionals are concerned about using it, for example, in those job applications?
It's a very, very good question. Every new technology is a double-edged sword, right? For every good part, there really is equivalent of the negative part to the technology. And we've seen this in the history, human history, again and again and again. AI is no different, right? For example, in the human resource and the talent workspace, one can definitely think about using AI for job, interview, processes. That itself is a good idea, but like you say, there will be biases, and the bias will come because we don't know how the AI algorithm is trained to make a decision on the outcome. So potentially that type of bias is actually not intentional. It's actually unintentional. And that unintentional biases could very well be because the human who is using at the beginning didn't know the outcome, right? I would take maybe a simple example, right? I'm not very handy, so I don't use power tools. If I have to use power tools, and my wife says to me all the time, please read the instruction. Otherwise, you might end up in the ER. Same thing with AI, right? The challenge is right now is there's no such instruction yet. That's the challenge, right? So now how we use it becomes like almost like I didn't even know how to use the power tool. How do I turn it on? Right? How do I cut it? Right? That type of, you can almost draw that type of analogy. So what that means is, number one, transparency, right? If you use this type of AI as a technology, as an algorithm to do something, especially in HR, there should be a fundamental understanding on what that algorithm is trained for, which means if you are not doing the training yourself, you have to have transparency on that training. You can imagine if I have all this job posting, I'm trying to correlate the job posting with my existing employee who was very effective and use that job profile. I use that data to train to look at the new resume, but unintentionally bring sex and ethnicity into the current applicants. We might not think this is important. The algorithm doesn't know. So the algorithm do. The AI algorithm may potentially say, it's this sex and it's this ethnicity they're actually successful for the job because that is what was hired before. Now, it's unintentional. It's an unintentional bias, but there's no transparency. So when you talk about what's the risk, I would say transparency, right? That's number one. Number two, and this is very important, and like I say, it's because there's no written menu. Because there's no written menu, quote unquote, everybody is trying to figure it out. And because we're trying to figure it out, we may or may not know what it's doing. So there has to be in the process, if we want to use it, what we call responsible usage of AI. That means if business want to do this, there has to be a process where there's a responsible usage of AI, or called RAI, where human is in the loop and has the full accountability of the outcome, right? So it's the lack of that accountability and lack of that understanding of the need of a responsible AI that almost always resulted in, I don't want to use catastrophic, but very detrimental negative impact, especially in the human resource and talent management. So these are the two key areas that I can think of.
Well, we all work in employment law, so we're always trying to avoid negative impacts at every turn, right? So with AI advancing quickly, all these employees are using it every day, and it seems like from what you're telling us, the usage and the training is all happening at the same time. I would guess that with other technologies, there's all this testing that is done before it's unleashed on people to use, right? With this manual. Yeah. What can companies be doing now, do you think, to augment their training? In that, yes, we're using this technology. However, there are ways in which you can ethically and responsibly use it. What have you seen training programs like that look like?
So we are actually embarking ourselves right now with that type of training program to really answer this question. It's a very, very good question. About, I would say 2 years ago, maybe, give or take, company stance maybe train on your own, right? Go to LinkedIn, right? Go this, try to find it out. I think if companies really want to embrace this technology, to start training, is really think about how to devise a training to train all the workforces, like an AI fundamental, right? AI fundamental, something like that will basically allow all the employees who may or may not have the background to get, number one, comfortable with the technology. Don't get scared by it, right? Number two, have some understanding. It may not be a deep menu, but at least it's a starting point, right? Now, companies don't have to create those type of materials themselves. They are openly available training programs like LinkedIn, right? Like Coursera, right? You can just Google it, ChatGPT it, you will find all of that. Okay. The key thing is to curate it, right? Every company is different. Sizes company different. You know, the education level of the company are different, right? You know, because you have to balance that and then curate the right material to train everybody. That's the key. It's not about training an elite group of employees. It's not about training the leaders. It's training everybody, right? Because that is resetting the baseline for everybody to have that understanding of that knowledge. Now, as workforces come in, the training type of fundamental training may or may not be needed. For example, there will be younger generation fresh out of college, right? They are now more aware of it, right? And we have to think about it. It's not 1 year, 2 years, right? 10 years, 20 years, right? As the talent force changes, be able to adapt the training as the workforce changes. Because what we introduce right now is AI fundamental, maybe 10 years from now, it's not really necessary anymore, right? College will be bringing all this up, right? Workforce will itself rebaselining it, right? So that's very important. I would say that in terms of the training of the workforces.
That's a very good point, is scaling the training, because my level of understanding of AI is far less than perhaps this expert on AI here. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. We have run out of time, but thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. I think this is a topic that is going to be moving forward very fast at lightning speed in human resources and lots of other industries. So thank you, Chingwei, for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Keely. We'll see you next time on Work This Way.